Mets have traded for right-handed pitcher Freddy Peralta from the Milwaukee Brewers. Let's talk about it. What's up, everybody? I'm Daniel. This is a Get Back. And like I mentioned before, the Mets have traded for right-handed pitcher Freddy Peralta from the Milwaukee Brewers, and for Tobias Meyer as well, for Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat. Overall, let's talk about Tobias Meyer first. I think this is a great deal for the Mets. Look, they needed to do something in their starting pitching rotation. They needed to get in a big time free agent or big time starter on with a trade. They got it. Um, Tobias Meyer, first of all, is a swingman pitcher. Only had he bounced between bullpen and starting. He started 8 games last year for the Brewers. Um, Nothing crazy of note. Mainly, he's been in the bullpen his career in 22 appearances. Um, 27 years old when the season's going to start. Just a pretty good swing man. The long man will get into more with what the Mets want to do with their bullpen later in the video. But Tobias Meyer is a decent pickup as well. Just kind of a throw-in player, and just having somebody who could maybe eat up some innings or like be a depth piece is never a bad thing, especially in a trade in this pitching market. So never a bad thing for the Mets to do that. But Freddy Peralta is the guy. Freddy Peralta is one of the marquee names in the trade market and the starting pitching market, whatever you want to call it. He is the bona fide ace right now of that Milwaukee Brewers staff. He had probably his best career year last year with the sub 3 ERA. I believe it was 2.75. He had plenty of strikeouts. He was started all 33 games that he played in. Finished fifth in Cy Young. Only gave up 53 earned runs, 21 home runs, 66 walks. I mean, 204 strikeouts. The guy was a beast, and 176 innings, pretty good. All things considered, he's going to be 30. It's the last year of his contract as well, so he needs to kind of have some motivation in that regard as well. The one thing about Freddy Peralta is that he's notoriously not a pretty good postseason. He's not a good postseason pitcher. He's currently 1-6 in postseason games. He was 1-3 last year. Had a really tough go of it, especially in the wild card series against the Chicago Cubs with a 4.6 ERA. He had that big, 15 inning, 5 run strikeout game. But then eventually also lost to the Dodgers as well with a 4.62 ERA. Only not even make the 6th inning, gave up 3 runs. So notably, he's not a great postseason pitcher, and for the Mets, they kind of need that, a guy who could be nails and be kind of that leader in that workhorse. But that game against the Cubs, where he almost went 10 innings, struck out 15, I think you could clearly see a gutty determination and that bulldog mentality from him. But Peralta is a really, really good pitcher, really good changeup, electric fastball. I mean, he's got everything that you need in a pitcher. And I think for the Mets, I think the rotation on paper is very iffy, to say the least. Because before, you were dealing with Clay Holmes, who gassed out at the end of the year. David Peterson, who notoriously has a bad second half. Sean Manaea, who was hurt all year. Tyler McGill, who wasn't really there. And Kodai Senga, who basically faltered at the end of the year. So they never really had a bona fide ace, and that kind of really killed their bullpen. So you get a guy like Freddy Peralta who can come in, be the bona fide ace, be an innings eater, be a guy who could come in here and just be that top end of the rotation piece that he needs to be for this team. And you give up 2 really good prospects. Jet Williams was the number 1 ranked prospect in the Mets system. He was, I think, 50th overall in MLB. Kind of had a down year in AAA and AA last year. He hit 261 with 17 home runs, 52 RBIs. That's pretty good. It's not terrible. He's young. He's 21. I think it was a good deal for the Brewers. And the Mets never really had a position for him as well. And with them shining Bo Bichette and Brett Beatty, Mark Francis being the kind of cornerstone young pieces there, they kind of didn't have a spot for Jet Williams. So it makes sense, and you have a surplus that you have to kind of start getting rid of in your You have the best ball, you have the best farm system in baseball. You have to start on offloading it and have to start kind of bringing in these marquee pieces to help this team now. So I think it's a good deal to kind of ship out some of these young players and Brendan Sprout as well. You know, the Mets have their big three with Nolan McLean and Jonah Tong and Brendan Sprout. Objectively, two of the three of them probably were going to go this offseason. We'll see what happens with Jonas Sprong and Nolan McLean. But Brendan Sprout, 24 years old, didn't have a great year in AAA, didn't have a great year when he came up with the Mets. Looked like the weaker out of the three. So they kind of shipped that off, and you can kind of work on focusing on Jonah Tong and Nolan McLean more. So I think the Mets have a really good deal here, without giving up any of their major league pieces, without kind of having to shed too much money. And of course, you get Freddy Peralta, which is the gem of the deal, essentially. So you look at the Mets rotation now. It's Freddy Peralta, probably Clay Holmes, Sean Manaea, David Peterson, and Nolan McLean, which is pretty good. I, however, think the Mets kind of still need to add one more rotation piece, because I think there's still a lot of what ifs and a lot of kind of dead arms in that rotation. You need somebody who can come in, eat innings, somebody who can come in and be that, not necessarily that number 2 or number 3, but really a guy who could come in here and just absolutely soak up innings. I like Framil Valdez for that role. The Mets are interested. They offered him probably, the biggest contract so far, reportedly 6 years, $200 million, which I think is fair, and, that comes with inherent risk, absolutely. Framil Valdez, kind of had a bit of a scuffle with his catcher when he kind of threw at his catcher, and that ruffled some feathers, but it's an easy fix. I think, he's an ace. He was the ace of that Astros team. He has great playoff success. He's a lefty, if that helps for anybody out there. But I think Framil Valdez is one of the guys the Mets should be targeting and should maybe be considering signing. I like a Zach Allen as well. I like a Nick Pivetta. Somebody who can come in here and just, be that innings eater. You don't necessarily need to get a stud like Framil Valdez, but it would be good to have. And I think solidifying this rotation like that would only help this team. There's also Tyler Anderson. Patrick Corbin could be a shout. Lucas Giolito. There's a lot of names on here that don't necessarily scream off the page, superstar like Framil Valdez, but could come in here, eat some innings. Jordan Montgomery would be a great signing, in my opinion. Alex Cobb as well. Just come in here, eat innings, and be that kind of marquee piece that the Mets are looking for. That number 2 piece and that innings eater. And then if you could get Framil Valdez, let's hypothetically say that, your rotation would be Peralta, Valdez, McLean, Peterson, and Manaea, or Clay Holmes. That's a pretty solid rotation, in my opinion. I think that's a very workable rotation. It's something that will really complete the Mets offseason. I would also like a reliever. I think, Evan Phillips is a decent shout. Andrew Chafin's a decent shout. Anthony Dominguez is a decent shout. Jose Leclerc is a decent shout. Obviously, I would have loved to have gotten Mason Miller. If that name is still floating out there, Mason Miller to me would be the guy. But I want somebody to come in here, the bullpen's not bad. I think Devin Williams and Adrian Mentor and Luke Weaver could be really good pieces. But I think getting somebody in here who could be that number 2, could be that 7th guy, that 8th inning guy to kind of take the pressure off of those 2 or those 3 would help. Something on a 1-year, 2-year deal, just kind of be an extra piece in that bullpen to really solidify it. And this could be a deadline deal as well. It doesn't necessarily be a right now deal. But I think to really tie together this offseason, bringing in a starting pitcher, bringing in another reliever would help. I think right now the Mets set themselves off, had a really good week. Signed Bo Bichette after losing Kyle Tucker, which obviously to me was an overpay by the Dodgers, but it's the Dodgers, so it's whatever. But you lose Kyle Tucker, you don't spend a lot of money on him. You go get Bo Bichette for a relatively decent deal to play third base. You sign Freddy Peralta, and now you have an idea of maybe trying to get another starter out there. So overall, really good week for the Mets, and trading for Luis Roberts as well. Great signing, great trade. Didn't give up too much. Acuna was good, high reward, low value. He'll be a great defender in center field. If you get something from his bat, that'll be exceptional to this lineup. So the Mets overall have put together a pretty decent offseason, all things considered, and where we were going. Still not maybe what a lot of people fans were expecting, but this is now David Stern's envisions as his team, how he sees it going forward. So I think overall you're looking at a very, very solid rotation, potential solid rotation, a decent team going forward, and something that could be very successful on the field. So overall, I love the Freddy Peralta trade. I think it's a great trade. We'll see what else comes down the pipeline. We're about 3 weeks away for pitchers and catchers reporting, so we're almost at that point. So maybe we'll get more rooms sooner. Maybe more people will start kind of getting geared up and ready to sign those contracts. But that's been me. I've been Daniel. Any other deals come, we'll talk about them. And if you like our content, go like, subscribe. If you want to, everything you want to talk about, put it in the comments. Check out social medias, the Get Back Sports on Instagram and TikTok. And of course, check out our other videos as well. We got UFC stuff coming down. Football, sports, awesome. It's amazing. Go watch it. Anyway, guys, I've been Daniel. Mets trade for Peralta. Really good deal. Love it. See you guys next time. Let me know what you think in the comments. Peace.